And now I'm ready. Welcome, dear Deborah Brodey. It has been 2 weeks ago, it's the third week now that we spoke. The last time
Yeah.
about your program, which started about the radical nourishment. So how is it
Yes.
going, the third week in?
Oh my God. Well, we've did classes so far. It is so beautiful. We have a beautiful group, and everybody is so just sharing deeply. And I think people are, we're having a beautiful weaving of each other's. It's, similar, we have that, we're co-creators and we work in co-creative ways. I know you do that with your work, Erica, and very much so with my program. So yeah, there's this beautiful creation that happens. And part of it is we create space, all of us together. And I work with my voice and sound, and so we create containers by calling in directions, and with sound and a lot of intentionality. And we're having we're having a good time. I'm loving it. Yeah. And I feel like it's going very well. Thanks for asking. Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
exciting. I mean, radical nourishment, I think it's so important for all of us. So it's an universal kind of practice every day. So I like to learn new things as well. I mean, you make me curious. Like, I know you work with your voice, but can you maybe do an example or something? How do you create sacred space with your voice, for example?
Okay. Well, I do. You want us to create a space for our conversation?
Oh, yes, I would love that.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I usually do little invocation with words, and then I use a sound. And sometimes we just do it like, actually I'll do it in the way I do it so that people can participate if they want to, because we're having a creative conversation. So if people listening want to be part of the creation of our space, and anyone listening in the future can do that. So,
Great. Oh.
and we'll just do it really simply. So,
Mhm.
okay, so we call in the sacred container for this juicy conversation with Erica and myself, and all the beautiful community members who are listening right now and who will be listening in the future. We call in the sacred space for this conversation by calling in the medicines of the directions. We call in the east, and we call in the fire. We call in that which supports us in knowing our purpose and knowing why we're here, and building our own fires, igniting us. And we call in the east to be with us, and we call in those helpers and guides, those benevolent, loving, wise ancestors that could be here to support us. And we call in the south, and we call in the sacred waters, and we call in the flow, and we call in curiosity and our innocence, and we call in that which helps us to flow with our emotions without drowning. We call in the west, and we call in the earth, and we call in the qualities of going deep within, introspection, in knowing the self, knowing our true self, and going deep within our own caves so that we may know the light and the shadows and become one. And we call in the north, and we call in the air, and we call in the sacred breath, and we call in those benevolent, loving, wise ancestors, those wisdom keepers, the grandmothers, grandfathers from the north to hold the space for us today. And we call in the centralist container, we call in the earth below, and we honor all the lands that we are standing upon right now. We honor all the lands, our ancestral lands. We honor Mother Earth that supports us, nourishes us, nurtures us, and all the sacred lands, the bodies of waters, the mountains, the sacred sites. We honor all of it, all the creatures, all of life. We honor the below to support us. And we honor the above. We honor the sky. We honor the sun. We honor the moon. We honor the planets, stars, and all their constellations. We honor star sisters and brothers holding space for our highest. We honor the cosmos. We honor that which inspires us from above. And we honor the center of this container, that which is, that which connects us to our source, to our higher self, to our wholeness, that which connects our bones to the bones of Mother Earth and to the oneness. We honor this sacred container and we call it here with the ah sound 3 times. We call you here. So just imagine you're calling by put your arms out and then call this container here by bringing it in. Ah, 3 times. Ah, 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 and this sacred container is set.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I feel all these energies from all the elements and ancestors, all of them are here. Thank you very much. Very powerful.
Yeah, and it allows for us to have the support from the unseen realms. We have support all the time, but we don't call upon it. And we can call upon it to support us. And so that's, you know, very much part of my practice every day. And always in every group, I always create spaces. And the words change because I never know what words are going to come out of my mouth because I'm just being in the moment. That's the co-creation. And the sounds can change. Because I do sound healing, I also use sound, do a sonic improvisation of the sound. But I wanted everybody to, you know, we can do it simply with, you know, different kinds of tones and vowel sounds. But you can also, it can, so there's so many ways. You could do it in a million different ways, which is so fun.
This is fantastic. I mean, I also work with all different realms, especially calling in the ancestors. I've got an altar, and I know how powerful it is that the spirit guides, ancestors, our animals, anything, we are so surrounded. Yeah, by so much support, and they're just waiting for us to call them in. I mean, I was told that for the first time in Mongolia. I traveled all the way to Mongolia to a shaman, and I asked her, where are my roots? And she told me, here they are. Yeah, in the Altai Mountains between Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Siberia. And they were waiting for you all the time. You don't even have to travel so far. You just have to invite them in. And she showed me all the practices, like at the full moon, at the new moon, or any time where you just give something to them and you invite them in, and they're really coming, like sitting in person, and you can talk to them. And the more I do it, the more real it becomes. It's like my deceased mother since 40 years, she's now closer to me than she was when she was alive. Because now I have a different connection of providing sacred space like you just did now, and like really listen and ask and listen, and and we can have such powerful relationship and connections with those unseen worlds. It's amazing.
There's no question, and you don't even, like you said, you don't have to even travel to the places. You can, you know, we're all connected all the time to everywhere. So we can just say, even if you never went to Peru, you can say, I want to connect with that mountain over there, you know, and you can, you know, we have this capacity to journey. And so it's, we can use our imagination, and we actually can journey. There's techniques for that, but, I think it's so powerful. I love how you just said that you're closer to your mom than when she was alive. I feel that, I was very close. My father passed about 4 years ago, and I was very close with him, but I got way closer after he passed, and also during his transition, because he needed a lot of guidance, because he was not spiritual, and it was only like, later, he was a lawyer, and he was like, full of questions, but generally in his life, but he never asked about, things about life and death and stuff. And it wasn't until he was dying that he was open to learning about energy, and that I could provide support and help him with his experience. And he had a very beautiful passing, and our connection was so deep after, like, the communion. And then it's like, he finally gets me what I'm up to.
Well, that's very similar to my
Yeah.
experience, because I lived abroad in London, and when my mom was suffering from cancer, I actually returned back home to care for her in the last year of her lifetime. So, and because she was suffering so much, she became very open in surrendering through the pain. And that's for the first time I've seen her soul, and we became so intimate with each other, up until the point where I was the only one who was there when she passed over.
Wow.
And I have seen her soul transmit, and it was so special. I've got goosebumps now talking about it, because it was such a special moment to be there. And since then, I've got such a close relationship to her soul. Yeah, because it was so special to see the raw soul without the roles and masks what we carry most of the time. And that brought us really back from essence to essence.
Isn't that beautiful? That is, I'll bet that experience really was an important, I'm guessing it was an important part of your healing journey.
Yes, and it was like an initiation in how to deal with death. Like so many people have got they're so afraid of death. Was for me, it was such a gift to have seen that there is nothing like death. I mean, the body passes away, but the soul always stays. And the more we open ourselves up to those metaphysical realms, the more we get really connected to those higher vibrancies, higher worlds, and they are so present. And I'm so grateful for this experience, and my mom as well, because she is just so joyful that I returned back home and stayed with her, and she didn't have to go into a care home and things like that. So for both of us, it was such a special journey of 1 year. Yeah.
And that is, that feels very, that's part of that beautiful gift of reciprocity, it's the full circle, it's your mother gave birth to you, she raised you, and then you get to be with her. And kind of, in a way, it sounds like a bit of midwifing through her passing, and it's just, that's such a beautiful, it doesn't happen so much, the way things happen a lot in the West, with a lot of people dying in in a facility and stuff like that. And so that's a beautiful story. It's beautiful to hear about your experience with your mother. And how many years ago? You said that was 14?
14 years ago.
14
already.
years ago. Wow. So 14 years. Yeah. And I'm sure, I'm just thinking about your book. And I want to ask you a bit about your book.
Yeah, sure.
And, just even the Wyrding Way, the name of the book. I'd love to hear you express what does the Wyrding Way mean? I love the title.
Yeah, I mean, weirding, it's from Norse language, and it's translated to weaving from the ever-present, or that which has been woven. It's within the context of the Three Neurons. That's why my book has got the Three Neurons on the title.
Yeah.
And in Norse mythology, they are at the roots of the world tree Yggdrasil, and they sit at the well, which is called the Udbrunnen, and the water the Yggdrasil tree every day. And it is said that they also carve the runes from the world tree. And yeah, and weird is also known, like there's a rune, which is nothingness. So there sits the Udbrunnen, and weirding is like to center ourselves in the womb of nothingness, and at the same time all possibilities. And if we center ourselves also in this weird, in this room of all existence, the void, and at the same time all possibilities, like the knowns do, if we learn to do that, then we can always weave our own destiny like they do. Because we always, from the present moment, we gain all the possibilities, all potentiality. And that's how we can also weave our own destiny, because it's also said that they are weaving all timelines, the past, the present, and the future. And they hold it all in their hands. Because they are the well of all wisdom, and they also create everything. It is also said they create the gods, like everything in the physical realm. They hold it in their own hands, and that is very, very powerful. And there's also the concept of weird and orlog in Norse mythology. And weird, that's what the Norns are doing. It's very flexible. Yeah, if we enter this field of all possibilities, we can shape our destiny from the present moment. Whilst orlog is meant like karma, like that it's not flexible. It's being passed on to us, and it's often felt like it's like heavy and we cannot change it, And weirding is very playful and forever changing. From moment to moment, it's changing.
Well, I love the metaphor of the weave. Like, it's so beautiful with the weaving, and just I mean, it sounds like the womb of nothing, that's full of everything. And it's so, wow, what a place to, for us to uncreate and to create. To uncreate those, those ancestral, patternings that often, we absorb, and for us to be able to then create something new for ourselves. So that's a kind of, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, and it's such an invitation to everybody. We can do that. I mean, there are so many scientists nowadays who prove the same, or like very popular spiritual people like Eckhart Tolle, who always says like there's only ever the present, and the astrophysicists proving as well that there is nothing like time and space. There's only ever the present moment. And if we just learn to center ourselves in this present moment, which is an ongoing practice throughout the whole life, then we can really create our own story. And it feels very powerful, because especially now in this crisis with the coronavirus, for example, so many people have got fears and feel overwhelmed and insecure. But the Wyrding Way can show us that it can be still very easy to center ourselves, because it's already a miracle that we are alive, we are breathing every moment. to our in and out breath, in the in-between place between the in and out breath, that is this void of all possibilities. And if we just learn again and again to center ourselves in this moment.
Well, it's in the gaps. It's funny, I was teaching that today.
Ah!
Yeah, because I'm a yoga teacher too, right? And so yoga is, Eastern, everything is about, life is in the, like Eckhart Tolle is influenced by Eastern traditions, Buddhism and yogic philosophy. And that's all, because it is, life is happening in this moment and now.
Yes.
And the breath is an incredible tool. It's such an immediate tool for us to link with the present moment because it's in our body. Like it's a very, we can feel it in our body as we're breathing in, and then we're watching that little pause, that little space between inhale and exhale. And it's so subtle, but it's a portal.
Yes.
And the same with between your exhale and your inhale. There's a space. And that's a portal. And it's like it's so, I feel there's so many parallels of what you're sharing and about, because I think that it's truth, because it is, but I love I love the working with the weaving metaphor. It's a very powerful metaphor for recreating.
Well, because everything is woven, isn't it? Through this invisible strings, the astrophysicists say strings, timelines, or threads, the invisible threads, but it's all interwoven in one way or the other. And my powerful homecoming was through picking up of my unique destiny thread. To me, it came through creativity and embroidery, especially embroidery, which connected me to my ancestral roots and this ancestral feminine wisdom of like doing the sacred embroidery of certain symbols. And then I started to remember where I come from and connected with my ancestral roots and following my own unique thread of homecoming. And so the book is also an invitation for each one of us to connect with this invisible thread, which is also the umbilical cord, which secretly connects us to our soul and the source. Only at our birth it gets cut off, and then we forget, and then in place of our connection come limiting belief, blockages, self-sabotage systems, what we all developed during our lifetime. And so it's like really remembering and coming home to the origin where we come from.
Well,
And
it's
rest
like
there.
Yeah, and it's, it's, like we already have, we have it inside of us. It's like it's an unveiling. We talk about that in yoga. It's like the self. It's like we're always, like that process of yoga is a process of kind of removing that which is not me, that which is not mine. Is this me? Is this me? Who am I? I'm not this. Am I this? I'm not this. And and it's like this. And it's a gradual process. But I like the metaphors that you're working with, and it's really powerful, and it's very. I can feel like the wisdom from your ancestors so powerfully. Like you are, like I can just feel it. I feel and that is so powerful. And I want to. I know that you're going to be teaching a course. I don't want to hear about that.
Yes, true.
Based on your book.
Yeah, so
Tell me about it.
The weaving is unfolding. I always follow like the impulses I get when I connect with the Three Neurons. So I'm being woven through them. And now it's like a step further to bring it more down into physical realms. They have been telling me the message that it's really important to bring it down to the physical realm for people, to have practical exercises, practical experiences, what is otherwise not tangible, not easy to grasp. And especially like when I remember when I didn't know my destiny threads, I was always listening and interested in theories like about Big Bang and yoga and so many other things, but I was not able to embody it, like to really physically grasp it. And it's like only when I started doing yoga and doing the practices, or literally like embroidering, it took me such a long time until I now really get like very physical message. And the next step from that is like do a course, a 6 weeks Wyrding destiny weaving course based on the book. And the book is also describing in 6 chapters, 6 natural cycles, which we go through as human beings, but which we can observe everywhere in nature.
Yeah.
And the 6 natural cycles are like grounding, because we all are grounded or planted in Mother Earth at birth. We all carry a unique destiny thread or soul seed. Like trees, flowers, they're also planted as a seed. And then we grow roots. And then we leave the Mother Earth and face all those challenges which come on the surface, sabotage, traumas, you name it. And we have to embrace those as well before we can continue to grow, to really fulfill our destiny, which is like a blooming or like fully spreading your wings. And then the natural cycle, like with trees, for example, they're spreading their seeds. And this is like, for us, this is for me co-creation in action as well, because once you're really sharing your full potential, your gifts, it's so natural to share your medicine with others. And those natural cycles, that's what the course is about. Like each week is based on one natural cycle, where we connect in week 1 to the time of our birth, when we have been planted in Mother Earth or in the weird, and to really go back there in time and then set our intentions from this place for what wants to weave through us at this moment of time. And then we can start the natural cycle. And it could be anything for the people who want to join, whatever wants to express through them. Wow. And then we go on the journey, and it's a co-creative process again, because you cannot foretell what is going to happen. It's always something totally new, because it's from the present moment, and it's very exciting. And it's a sacred journey.
It sounds really magical. Wow. And so people are going to get practical experiences, like practices for them to work through these cycles as you're speaking. They're going to have some so that they can start to find their threads.
Yes. Yes, I will. Those are invitations from my experiences. Like I learned from a womb healing apprenticeship, which I'm also taking part with, with a magical sister of mine. And I learned from her, for example, a labyrinth practice, where we build our own labyrinth and going to wirklich to the point of our birth, in the middle, and whilst we're doing this labyrinth, I happened to embroider the labyrinth as well, because for me the meditative practice of embroidering really makes me focus on my breath and on this in-between weird space, and I get like real clear messages when I do that. And doing a vision board, for example, is a very great way to connect with our soul language, which doesn't
Mm-hmm.
speak in very logical ways. It
Yeah.
speaks in images and signs and metaphors.
Mm.
And those are, and I love working with the sun rune. I love working with the numerology and with the symbols, the Berigini goddess symbols, and we can discover the main Berigini's energy which flows to a particular person. And so
Sorry, is that a
practices like
Norse?
that.
Is that a Norse goddess? Is that
Berigini, it's a Russian,
a
uh,
Russian?
and it's a name for the goddess.
Okay.
And I happen to have learned like 27 goddess symbols from the Slavic tradition, which are also embroidered in my destiny dress and in my towel, my destiny towel. And each of those symbols has a very strong and long tradition and carries a lot of energetic power and imprints.
Mm-hmm.
And if we know about this, what kind of energy, like a goddess energy, is weaving through you, that's very powerful.
Yeah.
And I exercise to connect with this goddess every day. Like in my destiny dress, there's 7, because they're like the soul tree horoscopes. There are 3 for the roots. 1, the main energy, which for me is the raven, which is the wise one. It's my main energy. And then there are 3 standing like for the future, for the wings. But to start with your main goddess energy is already so powerful. And then changes started to happen. Like we started our conversation today. If we know ways to connect and to invite those energies, wow, so many magical things start to happen. Yeah, we are showing signs all the time. And this is what they say, magic in the everyday life. And yeah.
Well, I certainly, I know that language of that, of the signs and the nature speaking. I've had that for many years of the different journey, but just like that incredible affirmation and a calling to something. It began years ago with an eagle coming to me, literally, and it kind of was the moment, like life before the eagle and life after the eagle came into my life. So yeah, it's really beautiful.
And I bet you have got your ways to connect with the eagle, who's always there, present, like my raven. Like I go out there every day and just ask the raven, yeah, raven, what do you want to bring to me today? Yeah, what kind of message? And it's like with everything we talked about our deceased parents. Yeah, and it's like the more we connect, the more we get back in return.
Yeah, and I've certainly, and I've had the experience of I do a lot of work through writing and like connecting with guides and the different kinds of guides. But my way is like dialoguing. I'll dialogue with different colored pens. So I know who's talking. And no, it's so powerful. I love the sound of this course. It sounds incredibly inviting, and it sounds like it's going to be very a deep exploration and a real opportunity for people to go in deep, to connect on another level, and to I think deepen their connection with because it's very ancestral, this work.
Yes, because there are no coincidences. Well, the Norns, they're really at the root of the word tree, and the word tree is also a metaphor for our beings. Like we also have got roots, we have got a physical body, a trunk, and we are connected to the divine world. And it's an invitation to go really deep to your own essence, where you originate from. And it's an adventurous journey, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And so when, like, when is it? Give us some more concrete details of when's the course and tell us more about it.
Well, it starts next Monday, so very
Oh,
soon, in 2
very
days.
soon. Okay.
And I'm just currently trying to put it all on one platform because it's my first online course. But since I like to have it as a co-creative process, I just want to finish the first week with the materials of work. I call it a workbook, a destiny weaving playbook even, with some
Beautiful.
exercises, to go through the 6 natural cycles. But starting with the week 1, which is like the grounding, where we get to the root of our soul seed and plant our intention for the 6 weeks soul journey, and then take it from there. And there will be always a live call each Friday between 3
Oh,
and
it's Friday.
5.
What's the timing? What's
Between 3 and 5 Central European time.
so between 3 and 5. So when is that? So 3 to 5 Europe Central Time. So that's 3. So what time is that? And so that
for
would,
you, it's 6 hours back. It's 9 a.m.
so that's 9 a.m. on a Friday. Okay, I'm in Eastern Time Zone. I'm in Toronto. Yeah. Okay. So for people in North America, yeah. So
and if the ones cannot attend, there will be a recording, and
okay, you're
all
going to
the
record it.
material will be accessible through a learning platform. It's called Teachable. I've chosen that.
Oh, okay. You're doing Teachable. Okay.
Do you have experience with Teachable?
No. I'm just doing it on my course on Zoom, and then I just have it on my website, like a course page and stuff like that. But yeah, well, I'll be curious to hear about your experience with Teachable, and because that might be something for me to consider in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'm glad to share. So far, I find it very, very good and very easy to work with. Yeah,
good.
Very, very good. So
And
I hope.
And what's the fee for the course?
Because it's like a pilot course, I make it accessible for anybody. There are 3 options. One is like a donation or like a review for my book. And the second one is 33 euros. And the third one is 66 euros.
So what's the difference between the different, like, what's the different, like you said, there's 3 options. So are there different things that happen when you pay the 66 euros? Is there?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think it's an invitation for the people themselves.
Yeah, to decide.
For the value, like what they can afford.
What they can afford. So you're being very generous, with this. Yeah, this is nice. So you're kind of giving a range of what, in the time. That's nice. Yeah.
So that everybody can join who feels called, and that I can continue to stay with the flow, with this thread unfolding at the moment, because it's very important to just go with it, not thinking about the price or like, oh my God, I don't know the technology or things like that. I got a very clear message. No, now is the time to go with this, what started with the book, and to continue bringing it in a very practical way to more and more people. So
I think this is a great, it's a wonderful idea. I think it's such a beautiful offering, Erica. And I think it sounds delicious, a delicious 6-week journey. And I hope that you have like a really full program, because I think this is really very rich material, and it's very deep work. I really, really honor your work, and I honor your lineages that have brought you home to your own unique destiny thread, as you say. So beautiful. Yeah.
Well, thank you so very much for holding this space where I could share that. This destiny thread unfolding, and I hope that everybody who feels the call is going to come and join.
Yeah. I think it's beautiful. Do you want me to, because we opened the space, you want us to close our container? Or did you want to say anything else? Do you want to say anything about like who this course would be really helpful for? Like, is there a particular,
Mm.
you know?
Yes, I feel this course is especially for women who also want to go deep, like to dive really deep to their own essence, like to who they really are,
Mm.
like to get to the origin, like the nuance do, like dive really deep into the unknown, into the weird, and just connect with their own original selves, with the umbilical cord, and really start to become a vessel and surrender to what wants to weave through them and their own unique goddess energy and so much more, which we discover on our own Shiro's journey. It becomes then a Shiro journey, not a hero journey. And it's like really then once you pick up the thread, then being led by the invisible thread and
Ooh,
less about what other people want from you.
yeah.
And it requires going back as much as often to your own self, like back home to your own self. So I think
Well,
that invites like women who are like
mm-hmm,
spiritually minded and like
mm-hmm,
intuitives and who wants to get to know themselves better and better, like their true authentic selves.
yeah. Yes. Well, and this is the time where, this is such a, you know, a time of incredible awakening, like and an opportunity to evolve as
Yes,
humans. And I think this is an incredible opportunity, and to be able to work with you in this way, and with, this is a beautiful, your book and your like it seems like a really beautiful kind of like a template to work with. And yeah, I think a lot of people will benefit from it.
I hope
Yeah,
so.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
my
No, I
gift.
can I can
It's
hear
my,
it. It's beautiful.
mm.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
you're welcome. Did you want me to just close up our little pot, our little space?
Yes, I
Yeah,
think it feels right
is that
now
okay?
to
Yeah,
to to, to come to a close, and we talked about everything for the moment, and I would like you
beautiful.
to close it.
Okay. So we give thanks to all of the beautiful medicines of the directions, of the 7 directions that have been with us today in this beautiful conversation. And we give thanks to all of you for just holding the space so beautifully, and to allow the beautiful co-creative flow to come through Erica and through myself, and into whoever's listening now or in the future. We give thanks to the East and the fire, and helping us to connect with our passion, our purpose. And we give thanks to the South. We give thanks to the waters and the flow supporting us. And we give thanks to the West and the earth, and that place, those qualities of helping us to go to journey within, to know ourselves better, to come home to ourselves. And we give thanks to the North and the air and the wisdom keepers of the North holding the space. And we give thanks to the center, the earth below, for supporting us, nourishing us, nurturing us. And we give thanks to the above for inspiring us. And we give thanks to the center for connecting us with our essence, with our home, our connection to source, our connection to our higher selves, our connections through our bones to the earth. We give thanks for the sacred container, and we release you with 3 ahs. Go now in love and beauty travel on these three ahs in all directions with our love and gratitude. Go now in peace and love and beauty. And this container is released.
Thank you. Well,
Oh,
thank you, everybody. And you, most of all, Deborah, and everybody who was
such a
listening
pleasure
in
to
and
be with you.
sharing this beautiful space with so many supporters and spirit guides and all the elements and everything. So rich and good. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, and I'm, in gratitude to you and your work, and I love how we just have this lovely, nice flow between us of supporting one another, and I really I honor that and treasure that. So thank you.
Thank you. Благодарю in Russian. Many God's blessings.
Oh,
And
many blessings to you.
all the best with the continuation of your course. And
Thank you. Thank you.
can people still join your course, by the way?
They could join the course. I mean, they'd have to catch up, but we just finished week 3, but everything's recorded. And so you can, and it's a really rich, work that we're doing. So yeah, and I'll be teaching more, so there'll be more opportunities in the future as well.
Well,
Yeah.
I could just feel it, how rich that is. And I mean, if so many people give themselves the time and the space, to go there deep as well, I can just imagine how enriching that must feel.
Yeah, it is beautiful, and yeah, I think, and we're creating like space. We're creating special altar grounds to connect us to our radical self-nourishment as a touchstone. So it's really like, so we're having lots of fun symbolic work as well. I like working on lots of different levels. So, well, beautiful.
Yes. Thank you again, and until we meet again.
Yes.
Thank you. Благодарю.
Mwah. And to you.